Okay, let's dive right into this explainer covering what is, without a doubt, a massive World Cup quarterfinal clash. We've got France versus Morocco going down in Boston. And look, this isn't just your standard knockout football match, right? It's a collision of absolute giants, a high-stakes tactical chessboard, and honestly, a deeply emotional cultural event all rolled into one. We've got a mountain of data, live betting odds, and some incredibly passionate fan analysis to unpack for you today. So let's jump right into the numbers and narratives to see exactly what we're looking at when these two nations step onto the pitch at Gillette Stadium this Thursday. We're kicking things off with the absolute biggest question dominating every single pre-match headline right now. Is this highly anticipated match going to be a repeat of their 2022 semifinal? Or is Morocco finally going to get their long-awaited revenge? Now, if you remember that defining clash back in Qatar, France walked away with a super clinical 2-0 victory. But as fans across the communities we analyzed were incredibly quick to point out, Morocco, they aren't just those surprise, happy-to-be-here underdogs anymore. No way. They know they belong on this stage. So, the debate over whether this is a massive redemption arc or just a harsh reality check is fiercely dividing fans, setting up the narrative heading into Boston perfectly on a knife's edge. All right, let's move into our first section, the tale of the tape, focusing on form and history. So looking at the historical head-to-head, France's baseline dominance is pretty undeniable. Across 5 total meetings, Les Bleus have literally never lost to the Atlas Lions. They've secured 3 wins and 2 draws, outscoring them 10-6 overall. Now, when you look at raw historical data like this in knockout football, it represents a distinct psychological advantage. France knows exactly how to beat Morocco, and they've got the track record to prove it. In a tournament where nerves absolutely dictate outcomes, having that historical upper hand, yeah, that's a massive security blanket for a squad. But hey, history only tells part of the story, right? Because right now, both of these teams are stepping onto the pitch in terrifyingly good form. Seriously, if you look at their last 10 competitive games, respectively, both have 9 wins and a single draw. It's almost a mirror image of momentum. France is averaging an incredible 2.8 goals per game while completely dominating possession. But look, right next to that, Morocco is hot on their heels, averaging 2.6 goals per game. This is the absolute definition of an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object. It proves neither side has even stumbled coming into this quarterfinal. Moving on to Section 2, the heavy hitters, players to watch. 11. Just sit with that staggering number for a second. 11. That is Kylian Mbappe's goal tally in this tournament alone. That level of production makes him the absolute ultimate threat on the pitch, and frankly, it's a historic anomaly. Facing an attacker who is in this specific kind of terrifying rhythm, that gives opposition managers literal sleepless nights. When you combine that crazy finish rate with his 5 assists, and the fact that teammates like Ousmane Dembélé and Bradley Barcola are feeding off the space he creates, France's attacking lineup looks practically unplayable. Now, while France is undeniably stacked, Morocco answers with some serious, proven threats of their own. Brahim Diaz has been totally spectacular as a creator and finisher with 3 goals and 4 assists, and Soufiane Rahimi has reliably found the net twice himself. However, fans on Reddit rightfully pointed out a really critical detail here. The injury to their top scorer, Ismail Saibari, is a massive, massive blow. Saibari had 4 goals leading up to this. Can Morocco's bench actually step up? Fans are super concerned that Morocco simply doesn't have the deep reserves necessary to easily replace that kind of sheer offensive production on such short notice. All right, Section 3. What the bookies say. Expert betting odds. So, translating this -172 moneyline from betting jargon, the odds makers are giving France a massive 63 to 70% probability of winning this match outright in regular 90-minute time. To put that into perspective for you, seeing a favorite favored by that much in a World Cup quarterfinal is absolutely huge. The analytical models clearly view Les Bleus as the absolute best team in the tournament right now. I mean, they've won all 5 of their matches so far, and the clinical data strongly suggests they just possess way too much quality across the pitch for Morocco to endure over a full match. Yet, despite all that extreme French firepower we just talked about, the experts actually expect a gritty, low-scoring affair. As you'll see, the most likely outcomes, according to the odds, are a tight 1-0 or 2-0 win for France, closely followed by a 1-1 draw. The analysts deeply, deeply respect that resilient Moroccan defense. They aren't predicting a blowout here. They're predicting a punishing war of attrition, where a single moment of magic or just a single lapse in concentration decides who packs their bags and who goes to the semis. Looking at specific player bets offers a really fascinating tactical preview, too. The markets show high confidence that Morocco's Soufiane Rahimi will manage to break through and test the French keeper at least once, pricing him favorably to get over half a shot on target.
On the French side, Michael Elise offers some super intriguing value to find the back of the net anytime. Why Elise? Well, think about the tactical gravity of Mbappe. If Mbappe continually draws double coverage from the Moroccan defense, massive pockets of space are going to open up on the right side. Sharp bettors are eyeing Elise as the potential difference maker to exploit that exact space.
Let's switch gears for Section 4, the crowd view, fan predictions. Stepping away from the spreadsheets and diving into the forums, a lot of fans actually share the bookies' clinical confidence, though some definitely expect a much wilder, higher-scoring affair. As one fan bluntly put it might be a boring answer, but they predict an overwhelming 4-2 French victory simply because the roster is too heavily stacked. To these highly confident fans, France isn't just the favorite, they're operating on an entirely different planetary level compared to anyone else left in the bracket. Conversely, the passionate, underdog supporters are scripting a very different movie. They are practically praying for a gritty, backs-against-the-wall defensive masterclass that results in a 1-1 draw. Their absolute dream scenario, suffocating the French attack and dragging the heavy favorites into the sheer, unadulterated chaos and lottery of a penalty shootout. In that high-pressure environment, they firmly believe Morocco's heart, determination, and goalkeeping can pull off a monumental, historic upset. And man, if this match actually goes to the penalty spot, the fan debate over who holds the edge is intense. Shootouts are pure psychological warfare. Supporters of France argue that their keeper, Mike Mignon, is an absolute monster between the sticks who just thrives on intimidation. But Moroccan fans fiercely counter that Yassine Bounou, or Bono, is an elite penalty stopper with a proven track record of breaking opponents' hearts under extreme pressure. It is a genuine 50-50 flip that has the respective fan bases completely divided and, honestly, incredibly stressed. Beyond the final score, fans on both sides are deeply anxious about the granular details of the tactical trench warfare ahead. French fans openly acknowledge that Morocco's low-block defense is a literal nightmare to try and break down. Meanwhile, there's widespread chatter and fear among fans regarding potential refereeing controversies fundamentally altering the outcome. And here's a very specific tactical anxiety for France. Fans are absolutely terrified that Michael Olise will pick up a yellow card in the heat of the moment, which would cruelly suspend him for the semifinals if they do manage to advance. Ultimately, you just cannot ignore the raw cultural emotion tied to this matchup. As one quote perfectly captures, predicting that Paris will burn regardless of who wins, the real-world stakes for both nations extend way beyond the touchline. Because of the deep, complex historical ties and the massive Moroccan diaspora living in France, this isn't just a game of football. It's a deeply emotional, culturally charged event. The passions surrounding it are at an absolute fever pitch, and the streets of Paris will undoubtedly reflect the magnitude of this result, no matter who walks away victorious. Which brings us to our final section. The final whistle approaches. We've looked at France's undeniable historical dominance, the staggering individual production of players like Mbappe, the cold, hard reality of the betting odds, and the fiery, passionate debate of the fans. The stage at Gillette Stadium is perfectly set. So, what does this all mean? Will Mbappe's clinical brilliance completely dismantle the Moroccan wall? Or are we witnessing the precise setup for the greatest underdog defensive masterclass in modern World Cup history? The data says one thing, but the heart says another. The only question left is, which one will you trust when the whistle finally blows?